Hi, this is Wes, and I would like to welcome you to the Underground Geek Shack. Today, I'm here again. I'm alone. I'm doing this solo. But yeah. So last video, I talked about a couple books. It was called Aru Shah in the End of Time. But I'm not here to talk about Aru Shah in the End of Time. I'm here to talk about the second book in the series, Aru Shah and the Song of Death. But before I get into that, hey, do you want to know something? What is something that never dies but lives 1,000 times at once? I'll let you ponder that for a second. So, we're talking about Aru Shah and the Song of Death. This book picks up immediately after End of Time, and where we now get in it. So remember how before it was just Aru and Minnie? This time we get Aru, Minnie, and then we get introduced to a new Pandava called Bree. And Bree is, what is she? She's a Apsara. She has Apsara blood, so it's like she can transform into different animals, and it's pretty cool. And she's not the only one. We also get to meet this dude named Aiden too. And Aiden, he always carries around this camera, but his weapons are like scimitars. So like it's pretty cool. The humor still funny, still golden. They make some references which are hilarious. Like there's one about they make a reference to Little Mermaid being y'all everyone knows Sebastian, the crab that starts singing, and so they make a reference to him because of another crab in the book, and it's just golden. It's funny. But then we also get introduced to different gods too. So like in this time, remember how before it was, hey, how do we stop the sleeper, right? Well, in this one it's like somebody in took the bow and arrows of love. It's like, Cupid, and it's like, but with this one, it's like, hey, somebody took the bow and arrow, and now they're leaving with it. We have to go after them. Turns out, you're running after them, and it turns out to be an older version of Aru, and you're like, what the heck? But Aru's standing right here. Then Bree is over here trying to fight against the older version of Aru, and it was really trippy at that point. And it's like, well, since the bow and arrows of love have been stolen, you are now charged with being a thief. And either y'all go and get the bow and arrows and sit there and you retrieve it and bring it back to the gods, then, we can, drop all charges. Y'all are free to still be, useful to us and everything. And, we won't mind wipe you, do some Men in Black type stuff. And then you will have no memory of the world of the gods. Yeah, you won't even remember being a Pandava. They're like, yeah, like, you don't want that to happen. And then they're like, oh, just for collateral too, we're gonna take your mentor. We're gonna take Boo, and we're gonna just put him in this little cage over here, and he ain't helping you, none whatsoever. And you're just like, oh, I don't know about that one, Chief. And so they're like, oh yeah, also, you're gonna get help from this kid named Aiden. So Aiden showing the ropes, and turns out that Aiden's also being trained, and it's pretty cool. I should mention the bow and arrows belong to Kamadeva, which is the god of love in Hindu mythology. But it's still pretty cool. Like, all these gods run their own different, like, sectors. Like, they have their own different things going on. Like, you got that. You got, like, the interesting thing is that you start diving more into the different stories of the different Pandavas. Like, in this one, it seems like we get a little bit more info on Arjuna and what happened during Arjuna's life, and why he was married to, like, he fell in, like, apparently one of the what was it? It was like not Suaponica. It was Ulupi. She Inaga is like someone who's like half snake, but like yeah, she at one point had fell in love with Arjuna and bestowed him with all these different gifts, like being able to breathe underwater or being able to talk to marine life, which is strange, but giving him all these different things. And what's so bad about Arjuna? And it turns out that he, in order to help sustain a fire from the god Agni, Arjuna kind of burned down a forest. Yeah, it's not pretty good. And it's not just any forest either. It turned out to be Takshaka's forest, and the forest and the fire ended up killing his wife. And yeah, that's not a good thing. And so Takshaka is now furious at the fact of, hey, yo, after all these years, you died, you get reincarnated into this little girl, and then you expect me just to sit by and just be like, I'm good, fam, I'm good, let bygones be bygones. We don't have this beef anymore. We good, fam, we good. No, but it's like, hey, yo, the queen over here, yeah, she loved you, and I'm not gonna have that anymore. I'm just gonna sneak around behind her back and do some tampering and not tell her a dang thing. It's like, what the freak is happening? And there's a bunch that goes on. Like, they still make reference to the sleeper, and it's like, hey, yo, he's still pulling strings behind everyone's back, and it's like, oh, Aru, he misses you though. And it's like, does he though? Like, my dude, like, you're the big bad guy that I have to fight, and you still expect me to sit there and be like, sorry, Pops. I know you did some bad things, but bring it in for a big old hug. Like, can't really do that for you. And it's like, we get some new weapons though. Like, we already got Vajra, the lightning bolt, and then Didi, Minnie's, staff and everything. Oh yeah, by the way, Minnie gets captured. Totally forgot to mention that. Minnie gets captured. Like, hello? Like, we gotta find this thing called a soul song, and we gotta sit there and figure out who the soul song belongs to, and then go to the freaking, find out who it is. It will display a name, and then the name will show who the actual person is and who that thief is who took the bow and arrow of Kamadeva. And it's like, oh no. No. Why? And it's like, we get to go meet a sage. That's a good thing. We get to meet a sage, but the sage is like, nah, I ain't helping you. I'm definitely not going to tell you that you should not go down this hallway, make a left, and definitely not make a right, and then go down this certain other hallway. That's definitely not what I'm going to do. He ends up helping them anyway. And it's like, cool. I'm glad that you're not helping us, fam. And like, jeez. And then we also I'm jumping around all over the place here, but we get to meet the god of the sea, the god of the ocean, and the god of the sea. It's the same person. So Varuna is the god of the sea, god of the ocean and sea. Varuni, goddess of transcended wisdom and wine. So yeah, she's the consort of Varuna. And then we find out. So one, let me go back to Minnie, right? Minnie gets just straight up snatched, and it's like, hey, yo, like we go to this warehouse, we gear up, we get ready to go, get ready to set out on our new journey and everything, and then we're out, we're walking, we're going in, and then, we end up in this like little graveyard looking place, and you're like, what the heck? We end up in this freaking graveyard looking place, and turns out that, like, since Minnie is like, hey, daughter of death over here, even though she's a little bit scared, even though she's dripped out and all goth looking stuff, but Minnie's like, hey, yo, can you tell us where we're going? And then one of the skulls actually turns and looks at her and literally starts talking to her, and everyone else starts freaking out. And Minnie's like, oh, thanks. And then they just keep on moving. And then they come to like this little like cave looking thing where like a creature, like crab type thing kind of comes out and ends up making Minnie like put Minnie in a trance, and then she just walks away, and just everyone else is like, hey yo Minnie, where you going? And then Minnie's like, she's off walking, like she's like not even sure where she's going, and then she snaps out of it, turns around, and she goes, hey yo, I know the name, and then she just disappears. And you're like, hey yo Minnie, where the heck did you go? And then it's like, all right, we're down a member. We still got 3 other members. We still got Aru, Bree, and Aiden. And that's pretty much it. And then, so from that moment on, it's just, we gotta find Minnie. And Aru's like, hey, yo, we gotta find Minnie. Minnie is my sister. We gotta find her. But Bree is also a Pandava, too. She's the daughter of the god of wind. Vayu is the god of wind. And that is Bree's dad. But Bree has a mace that she just swings around like, hey, yo. But the other interesting thing is that with this story over, like with this, like it's not. I'm only on the second one, y'all. I'm only on the second book. But in the second book, we dive heavy into some deep stuff, like regarding like Aiden and his parents. Like we dive into his whole thing, and then with Bree and her uncle and like dive into that, and then it's like, hey yo, we still gotta find Minnie, but then it's like Minnie can only communicate through dreams due to where she is. So now she's in the land of dreams, and so it's like anytime Aru goes to sleep, and then like she's asleep, and like she was in like this Home Depot type thing. She was in the Home Depot, and so then she ends up talking to Minnie, and you're like, okay, and it's like Minnie's just like, hey yo, like, hey yo, Aru, I need you to remember these words. Music. I need you to remember this. I need you to remember this. And Aru's in a dream. She doesn't remember. She's not gonna remember it. And then once she wakes up, everyone else is like, hey yo, did you talk to Minnie? And then Aru's like, did y'all talk to Minnie? And they're like, yeah, it was weird. It was like she was in my dream. And then Aru's like, I feel like I'm supposed to remember something. And then we end up so we're in this like bubble underwater type thing to see Varuna and Varuni. And like the thing is that Aru tells them, oh yeah, I'll do whatever you need me to. And they're like, oh cool, I need you to feed our pet. And she's like, sure, how bad can that be? The pet's a crab. It's a man-eating crab. And it just so happens to be the one that's guiding them where they need to go. And you're like, ooh, I don't think I can do this, fam. And they're like, how are we supposed to defeat this crab? And it's like, I don't know, maybe does it like to sing? And then the crab is like, hey, yo, stop comparing me to my cousin. Remember how I told you that the cousin is Sebastian? So it's like, oh, that's a Disney reference. Good on you. That's a pretty interesting thing. And then, I mean, I took a lot away from this book, so I would recommend that all of you, like, if you haven't read Aru Shah and the Song of Death, go and get it. Pick up End of Time, and then go with Song of Death. You do that, almost everything will be cleared up for you. Hopefully. I don't even know how many books I'm going to have to go out and get, but I'm going to have to go out and get the third one because I'm already falling in love with this entire series. The answer to that riddle, by the way, is stories. I'm going to get out of your hair. Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed your visit to the Underground Geek Shack. See you guys. Maestro.